Hi, my name is Trevor Malarkey. I'm a college student enrolled in a class that is currently studying comic books under the professor Vincent Haddad. The comic book I read was the newest version of Miss Marvel by G. Willow Wilson with artist Adrian Alphona. The character Miss Marvel was first introduced in 1977 as Carol Danvers, a, a good-looking, blonde-haired, blue-eyed heroine. In Wilson's take, however, Miss Marvel is a Muslim American teenage girl who is born and raised in Jersey City, and being brought up in a Muslim household like she has a bit of stricter rules than the average American teenager would have, which causes an issue of race and identity that is brought up throughout the book. Now Kamal becomes Miss Marvel when one night she decides to go against her parents and goes and sneaks out of her house to go to a party that all her classmates are at, and she figures she'll go ahead and try and fit in with everybody else, which does not work out in her favor. She realizes that this is something she shouldn't be doing, and then on her way home a fog all of a sudden sort of just takes over everything in the area, and suddenly appears Captain Marvel and Iron Man and Captain America. Kamal then makes a wish to be like Captain Marvel, which she is then granted these powers from Captain Marvel, and then from then on she starts her adventure with her powers and trying to figure out her identity. With the emergence of Kamal's powers, her identity becomes more of a crisis to herself, as she is, not sure if she's a Muslim, a teenager, or a superhero, and this identity crisis becomes even more apparent through the artwork in this book. For example, right before she gets her powers, that fog appears all around her, as you can see on this page right here. On this page they use a moment-to-moment transition between panels, which shows each moment happening as it transitions, and from these panels you can see in each moment it's almost like she's drifting into a different state, which is to where she gets her powers. But right before that, it's almost like she's just really, really confused about who she is. She even is saying, I can never be one of them no matter how hard I try. I will always be poor Kamal with the weird food rules and the crazy family. Now, the fog around her as well is, representative of how she is unsure of who she is. It's not clear, fog, you can't see something quite clear in fog, and that's sort of like her identity is not clear. So that's what the fog is representative of. And as you go on through the book, you'll find that the fog does not appear anymore, and that's because more towards the end of the book, she finally starts to understand, her true identity, which is just herself. Now, the artwork is not only used in this book to display Kamal's identity crisis and herself, it also is used to help readers relate to an identity crisis with Kamal. And they do this through a strategy called amplification through simplification, where up close, when it's drawn up close, you can see a lot of detail in the characters' faces and stuff like that. Then when they go ahead and use a panel and like back out a bit, it will usually just be like a dot and like a line for the characters' faces and whatnot. And they use that in this book a good amount. And this is just to help the reader relate to the characters. And you can see an example of this right here on this page, where up close when she's taking a drink of stuff, you can see a lot of detail in her face, as well as the jock like idiot dudes there. And then to the lower side of this page here, you see when it's backed out, just Kamal's face is just a dot and just like a little line. This is so that when you read this, you can look at that and you can relate that as to like being yourself. You know, you can relate to Kamal in this panel right here as, you know, maybe being an outsider, being someone who necessarily didn't fit in, or, you know, wasn't so sure about, you know, your identity or whatever. And so, I mean, they definitely use it for that, but I mean, it's not only just to relate to Kamal. If you notice there, the guys' faces as well are very simplified, and this is because, you know, not only were you at one point perhaps the outsider, you were possibly the one outside making somebody the outsider, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just, you know, Kamal here that they're trying to make you relate to. You know, they're trying to make you relate to somebody who may have been on the giving side. The overall point of that, though, is to make the reader have this feeling of that easily could have been me in either of those, you know, person's shoes, and it makes you think about, you know, your own identity and, you know, which one have you been in and which scenarios, and makes you think about, you know, who you are as a person. Kamal, though, by the end, has finally kind of understood what her identity is, which is simply just herself. You know, that is her true identity, is just herself. And I mean, yeah, she is a Muslim, she is a superhero, she is a teenager, she is a whatever, but you know, she is just really herself, and that's, you know, what she starts to project at the end. And that's what I really take away from this comic book, is that, you know, it's not about, you know, what race you are, what, you know, age you are, what religion, whatever it may be. You know, none of those things are, you know, what you are yourself, because your true identity is just yourself, and that's what you truly should be at the end of the day, is just true to yourself and be who you are. Well, that's all I got for you guys, so thank you for watching, and I would definitely recommend reading this comic book to anyone who hasn't read it. And if you have any comments about this video, just go ahead and leave them down below. And again, thank you for watching. See ya.